Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here with another wild idea to fix the absolute disaster that is MTG Arena. And you're probably thinking, but Des, they made a bunch of money on it and people generally like it. Yes, Arena as a platform and the team that designed it and the actual final product, pretty darn good. It's fairly fair and reasonably cheap. A lot of people have told me cheaper, and the progression is faster for free than Hearthstone. But I have very strong evidence that the player base of Arena has just dumped. Like, we're talking, if it was as low as 50%, I would be surprised. It might as well be 90% from what I'm hearing, rumors. And remember, the last rumor I heard about 6 months ago was that Bolas gets trapped in the meditation realm. So let's just say some people like to tell me some things. And so I asked a bunch of people, like Discord, social media, comments section. I searched for comments related to not playing Arena. And I would say it's almost universal. It is legit almost 100% of people. They had the stated reason of, I can't stand the meta. I don't want to play Arena in Standard right now. Standard is miserable, especially in Best of One, especially on Arena. I mean, somebody at F&M might not be a big enough dickhead to bring Esper Control, okay? And if they do, they're going to catch so much flack. They would have legitimate social pressure to not come back. On Arena, well, it would seem that a lot of people have a similar level of respect for other players, as I do, which is none. They're all careless, thoughtless, net decking, time stalling, just inconsiderate dicks. That's why I played toxic crap, because I care about results and winning. If Wizards wanted the game to be fun, it's their responsibility to fix it. I'm not just going to say, well, I'm not going to run this deck. Although I do draw the line at no win con and like Mill. I will not play either of those. Or Red Rush. I will not play that. At least I have some standards, unlike everybody else on Arena who just cares about wins, because who cares? There's not even chat. So you might as well be playing against a non-human. Pretty easy to dehumanize your opponents when all you can see is their username. So like, that's a design flaw, and oh my gosh, do not take that as me thinking they should add chat. They should not add chat. If they added player-to-player chat in the game, I would get banned the same day. But the point I'm making is people aren't having fun playing Arena because the standard meta isn't fun, and most importantly, it isn't fast. A tiny percentage of people said, I just don't have the time, and the games are getting dragged out. You know, if you got 15 minutes, you might be able to play 3 Magic games on Arena normally, but now, oh no. There's Dimir control, Esper control, Bolas colored control. I think I saw somebody playing standard blue-white control. Haven't seen that in a while. Don't forget about mono blue control, which is more like duck and cover, because it does involve giant flying creatures and then you cover for them constantly. But it's all just control draw. Just everything is draw more control and then use more control and then draw more control. Azcanta and Chemisters need to be banned. I mean, just more than any other card. At this point, if they banned Chemisters and left Teferi in the game, I would think that they made the right decision, although I do think they should ban both. I mean, if Wizards put me in a room with a gun, and it only had 2 rounds in it, and then they placed on 3 different pedestals Teferi, Chemisters Insight, and Search for Azcanta, I would point the gun at the one-way mirror and demand that they go get Carnage Tyrant. Just kidding. But I would shoot Chemisters Insight twice just to make sure. So anyway, I mean, I don't need to tell you guys how not fun it is. It's extending down into, even from what I've heard, the Bronze League. Isn't that where you start? I haven't even put in enough effort to get out of Gold. I think I'm still in Gold 1 because I just don't care. I do the daily and then just do anything else with my time that's more enjoyable, like clean the house, mow the lawn, service my car, do end of month accounting and tax filings, tase myself in the balls. And from what I've heard, my experience exactly matches the vast majority of people who are either just doing the dailies or they've just given up until rotation, which is a long time from now. Nobody wants to get 75% of the things that they cast or bring out destroyed or countered. That's not fun. Nobody's having fun. And the games are going way the hell too long. And there's like 3 unbeatable decks right now. So there's no creativity. You either build that and participate in it, and then it's a mirror match. So on top of that, it's even not fun if you follow the meta. I mean, control versus control is even worse. It's just who runs out of cards in their library first. It's that simple. It's just an absolute disaster. So obviously the solution is to start banning cards left and right. But since they're unwilling to do that, because as they put it, it's a last resort, well, look at the numbers. Look at F&M attendance. Look at Arena fall off. I mean, if you don't consider this an emergency, what do you consider an emergency? But I have an idea that they can, would, and should implement into Arena. Now, my last video on this topic was they should do like achievements, like, destroy 100 creatures and it's like permanent. It's tracked like over basically a long term, but like permanent, like Pokemon Go with the badges system. I mean, they could have like add 100,000 mana to your mana pool total, and then once you hit it, you get like some cool cosmetic or a display thing on your name. Or they could just do a ripoff of a gamer score. It's like, oh, this person is rated 7,852 because they finished like a huge amount of the tasks or achievements, missions, quests, whatever. That would be cool, but would it be worth it to slog through this absolute disaster that is player versus player best of one in the standard meta right now? Probably not, no. I mean, they'd almost have to make one of the achievements, get 1,000 of your spells countered because I'd finish it in one freaking day. Rage quit 500 games with no non-land permanents in play. But I have an idea. And this is very wild because it's very not Magic, but it's also like very card game. Why don't they add like boss challenges? Because there's a ton of precedent for this. Now, it would have to be AI, obviously, not player versus player. But let me outline how they've done this in the past. Well, there was Arch Enemy, where it's supposed to be, 4 players versus 1, and the Arch Enemy deck is like hyper powerful and gets like special effects and stuff. I think they started with like way more health. So that was really unique. I mean, very lopsided Magic where it's like a PvE boss raid thing. Magic doesn't really have that, except it does. It was called Arch Enemy. Now, the people who played it said it was really fun, but it didn't take off very well because nobody needed to buy it, and it was kind of expensive. But if you were to go back in time even further to another digital Magic game, and you're probably thinking, oh, the one on Xbox, oh, the other one's on Steam. Oh, we're going back further than that. We're talking Chandelar. That had to have come out in like the early 2000s, if not actually the 90s. You know what? That game uses Ante and the old Mulligan system. Yeah, it's 90s. So in that game, you'd go up against like wandering NPC enemies that you would have to duel, and some of them would like start with more than 20 health. And yeah, the difficulty of their deck was a thing, but there was like these special little mods where it was kind of like the whole Yu-Gi-Oh anime. It's kind of like themed stuff where like it matched the character. Like you're going up against some undead person. Oh, look, they're using black and using undead. Cool. But like I said, on top of that, if you go up against like one of the boss battles in the game, which honestly I never got quite that far, but I've seen some screenshots and I think you go up against like a dragon at one point or some kind of master wizard thing and they have like 100 starting health or something. So you have to just dominate the match because remember at that time, it was still standard versus standard. They're still using a standard deck and so are you. So you had to really build it up to the point where you shut them down so hard that 20 versus 100 is not an issue. And you want to talk about a challenge. My gosh, is that difficult. So let's say they had like boss challenges and they're like tiered. They go up in difficulty and you get like some really cool rewards for beating the higher level ones. And they could even just do it for a weekend. They could rotate it once a month, once a week, whatever. I mean, they could form it like, the Elite Four in the first 2, at least, Pokemon games. I didn't play any after that. But, you got to beat one after another, and it gets harder as you go, theoretically. I would absolutely love that. I mean, it reminds me of the Generals Challenge from Command & Conquer Generals. 0 Hour, specifically. It was in the expansion. In that one, they would set you up against 7 ridiculous scenarios where the opposing general has like a themed base that's preset, very custom, and they don't start at just like 0 with a command center and that's it. But you do, and then you have to go take them out, and they even start with like huge armies and super weapons. It's very lopsided. And then the final secret general is freaking ridiculous. She is absolutely insane. You gotta really have some balls to beat that one on hard. And the thing is, yeah, it was challenging, but it was fun, and it made you a better player, and it made you think of better tactics, better ways to play the game. It made you a better player overall, more skilled and more dynamic at setting up a strategy. So in other words, building a deck if it were an arena. So what if you're so fed up with the standard meta of the week, the month, the rotation, the set release, however long you don't want to play against humans, so you just log in and play against the AI and do the Elite Planeswalker duel challenge thing. You finish that, you don't even have to touch the standard meta, except you can, 1, build whatever the hell you want and don't worry about how competitive it is against other humans. If it's just a good deck in a vacuum, it'll probably beat this one custom scenario. And then 2, what reason do you have to build a deck that's not in the meta on Arena? Like, are you purposely trying to lose? Other than if you build one like I do, that's just so good, I don't care that it's not in the meta. It probably should be, and it probably will be in the future. I'm getting plenty of wins with it. But if you're just like, I want to build a cats deck because they're cute and I think it would be moderately okay of a deck mathematically, you could probably clear one of these challenges with it. And plus, if they have a deck where like the whole theme is that the creatures keep coming back from the graveyard, you could build a deck that gets around that just to clear that one battle. And think about that. That would get more packs sold and force people to burn more wild cards. I know you're thinking, well, that would be bad, but for them, it would cause more sales. Plus, I like deck building. And honestly, I've been running mono white as my primary deck for like a year now, and I've been getting tons of wins. So I'm sitting on like 21 mythic wild cards and like 22 rare wild cards. I think I've built one deck in the last, 2 months, and it didn't even work. There's no reason for me to build another deck because I already know there's nothing else that can compete against this much control. I think, black-white vampires would be cool, except I'd get my ass kicked, so what's the point? Black-white vampires is one of the most powerful decks in Standard right now. It's just a terrible, terrible matchup for what's popular. So against a highly competitive environment, it would do nothing but lose, pretty much. But it's still a damn good deck. So if somebody wants to build it, they could just build it and then either just play against their friends on Arena, which is why the player-verse system was so important, or do the Planeswalker duel challenge thing. There you go, be as creative as you want, build whatever you want, and if you're confident that it's good, you'll probably beat the challenge. So maybe instead of building 1 or 2 decks, people will build 8 decks, which means more wildcards, more purchases, more packs. And because of that, they would probably have to give out a lot of coins and a lot of gems as rewards for beating them, just so people don't think, oh, well, I beat it, yay, sense of accomplishment. Wow, that took a lot of currency. You dangled 5,000 coins in front of their face for finishing the whole, branch of 7 in a row or whatever. I mean, hey, people are going to try to do it, you know what I mean? And they're going to spend money trying to do it. And a lot of people who aren't good at deck building are going to fail at doing it. So I think it would be just excellent if they would put something like this in the game, just to maintain the player base when people are fed up with the only thing you can do in Arena right now, pretty much, which is play competitively ranked. I mean, you can go into free play, but even it's like half people trying out wacky stuff that they just wanted to build, and it's half people who probably thought they joined ranked but didn't, because they're sure as hell running tier 1 stuff. I mean, they're probably just practicing before they go into ranked to make sure that it's built correctly and that they know how to run it. But yeah, I've had a lot of bad free play experience. Now, there's one thing they could do that's even better. Instead of just, I beat the 5 challengers for this month, that took a day, now I'm bored. They could have a dynamic scaled system where it never ends and you just see how far you can get. And how they could even have a leaderboard for it. Here, this person made it the highest, or these people made it to level 18 on this, which, oh my gosh. So what I mean is you could keep challenging the final boss, but every time you challenge them, they get harder. Every single time they add 20 health. So you fight them at 50, then 70, then 90, then 110, and it just never ends until you can't beat them. And then, hey, more power to you if you get to level 37 and take them down at 1,000 damage. And, there are decks that can do that much damage. They do geometric stuff where they double, and you hit them for 1,000. And it's okay, well, it doesn't matter what their hit points are. Or you use an alternate win condition, and now you really don't care what their hit points are. You just mill them out. But they could add an ability where it's a graveyard recycler or something. Or they could adapt to the last way that you won. Or they could just throw everything at you. He starts with 100 life now and 9 cards in hand. His library size is 200, and he starts with 2 lands in play. Good luck. Or he starts with an emblem that has some kind of permanent effect that you can't stop. You lose 1 life every upkeep. So now you gotta deal with that ticking down every single turn. I mean, they could just make it harder and harder and harder until it's effectively impossible. And I'm sure people would maybe solve it where they'd say, this is the deck you need to go in with and only keep this certain hand. And then you have a 30% chance of beating it on the highest level, and then it's mathematically impossible no matter what you draw past this. But if they rotated it quick enough, it would probably work. The only thing holding this back is any kind of backlash where people are oh, now this is just some dumb video game. I don't like this. It's supposed to be player versus player. To which I'd say, but it's I mean, they're not taking away or changing anything. If you don't like it, don't play that mode. I hate drafting, so I very rarely do it on Arena. It doesn't mean I think drafting should be removed from it. If you enjoy it, go for it. I'm just not going to do it. And also, the number one barrier, realistically, to them actually doing it, even if they said, let's do it tomorrow, is developing AI that can play properly in all scenarios. I mean, me as a programmer, I've said it before, if I just really got down to it, I could design 80% of Xmage myself in about a week. The UI, all the menus, interface, everything, the logic, the graphics, all that, absolute piece of cake. And then it would probably take me 6 months to get all of the mechanics and flow and turns correct. And then it would probably take me another 6 months to write the AI. That is so much harder than the rest of anything. Oh my gosh. And you'd have to keep tweaking it every single time a new mechanic came out. And remember, the AI in Xmage is like pretty bad depending upon what deck you stick it with. So it knows how to play certain decks, but I mean, if you think about how difficult it is for a human to determine like when the right time to play this is, or what the best target for that is, humans can't figure it out the majority of the time. I don't think a computer could. And if you think you got one universal strategy, you hand them a deck that works differently and they just have no idea what to do with it. So to run a deck properly, that's one thing, because if it's always the same deck, you just program it to run that one deck. So that's like more than half the battle by far. But responsive actions and targeting the correct permanent in your opponent's deck when your opponent can run absolutely anything, that would be very difficult. But they could constantly monitor it and improve it. It would be a lot of staff time, a lot of effort. It would be very, very difficult, especially up front, to even make the AI engine. But remember, they wrote a basic one for the tutorial, and they got that like Spark challenge thing. I haven't really tried it. Actually, I already completed the tutorial like a long time ago, so I'm not sure I can try it. But if they even got it working as well as Xmage, which was just made in some volunteer's spare time, which is why I'm starting to think it's not as hard as I think it is, I just really wouldn't want to do it. You know, they could take that, tweak it, make it standard specific, because remember, the one in Xmage knows how to play modern and stuff. I think they could get it to like a 95% perfect state, which would probably be good enough. And every time it made a slight mistake, we're like, well, you should have targeted that. Good, it helped you win. But yeah, that would be the staff time and hours and cost barrier, is actually programming it. And then designing the opponents, testing against them like crazy to make sure that it's fair and you can't just blow past certain ones easy ways. Unless that's the point. Where it's like, oh, I could just beat this guy with white life gain. Oh, I could just throw in a ton of control, just shut him down. Oh, he runs all creatures. I'll just run board destruction. Like, that's the point. It's trying to induce you into building different decks and getting comfortable with playing other colors and different strategies. And once you find the strategy that beats that one person, you move on to the next one. So they wouldn't have to put like tons and tons of thought into it. But they would have to change it, like I said, like every month, maybe every week. I mean, that would be a little quick. And that would be pretty tedious. I mean, they could just copy some obscure side deck or some tier 1 deck that players are playing. Or just copy the meta like an Ixalan. You know, it would have been the 4 tribes. Just do that. Just build the cliche scaled version of that. I mean, there you go. So, I don't know. Would it be worth it to increase sales and to stop customers from leaving? I think so. I think that if they did it, they would effectively make a profit off it. But hey, let's do some market research. Would you guys play Arena more, especially if you have been playing it less? Or if you've basically given up on it completely, would you play it more if you had some cool AI boss challenge thing and you never had to play against another player? And there would be no turn timeout either. If you needed to get up and take a break or do something, or you know your kid's screaming or somebody's at the door, or you're in the middle of cooking a meal or you get a phone call, the AI doesn't care. There's no turn timer. I mean, boy, that would be nice. So would you do it? Would you like it? Would you at least try it? Are you on the fence, or are you absolutely like, yes, I need to implement this tomorrow? What do you think? Share your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.